listening to the Becoming More Me podcast with me, Theresa Lear Levine. You're already enough. But if you're anything like me, you thrive when you're stretching and developing yourself, creating more of the person you feel called to be. This podcast is here to inspire and support you. Let's release the negative, reinforce the positive, and elevate our vibe together as we tap into our limitless potential to transform and grow.
Hey, everybody. Wow, I have gotten so much amazing feedback and messages on episode 38, I believe it was, on high functioning anxiety, that I can tell a lot of us are in the same boat there. And all I can say is that I plan on offering you guys a lot more around that in the future because I can tell that it is much needed and the response showed me that. So thank you for all of you that did reach out to tell me your own experiences or parallels or to ask about things regarding it, because that's how I know what you guys like or you don't like, what you want more of. It's kind of interesting with podcasting because especially with a newer podcast like mine, I mean, we started last May, I believe. So we haven't even been out there a year and this is episode 40. Crazy, huh? But still in podcast terms, that's pretty new. And podcasting is a long-term kind of a thing where I can tell now that a lot of my earlier episodes are just getting discovered. And it's hard to know. You don't really know, like on some other platforms when you can tell like who's watching, who's paying attention, all that kind of stuff. You don't really get to know that with podcasts. So when you want to be heard or known, you really need to leave a review or send an email or tag the host on social media or something to let them know what you're receiving from them that is resonating with you. And I always, always, always appreciate that. In fact, if any of you are willing, I would absolutely love it if you would just review your experience in listening to the Becoming More Me podcast on whatever platform it is that you listen to it on. That's so valuable to me and to other listeners, because I don't know about you, but when you go to a podcast, you look at the reviews, you check out what people are enjoying. And it does make a difference to see that other people have good things to say. So if you feel that way and you do have something positive to contribute or some kind of constructive addition that you want to add, then please, by all means, I would love to hear it too. Of course, you can always email me directly at Theresa@theresalearlevine.com, but a review on the podcast platform where you listen would really mean the world to me and to other listeners. So I thank you in advance for your help with that. So let's see what we're going to talk about today. And again, noted that high functioning anxiety is definitely a topic of interest. So every now and then I like to just share with you what I'm reading or listening to on Audible, because I know a lot of you enjoy the same kinds of things. So I'm actually doing some rereading and trying to do more of that actually lately, because I know that there's so much that I've learned over time. And a lot of the things that I learned prior to becoming an EFT master practitioner, I haven't gone back to learn how to actually put them into action or how to apply them to my practice so that I can help and coach others with those teachings, if that makes sense. Sometimes you learn about something and then you know how to apply it when you're helping somebody else with a situation that's similar. A lot of books that I've read on trauma and things like that have been really helpful to kind of turn things around and use it to energize or support the conversations and therapy that I do with other people. And one of those books in particular is The Body Keeps the Score. And that book is, sorry, I just started playing it. That book is by Bessel van der Kolk, and it's a number of years old. It's not old, but it's not new. And I want to say it's like somewhere around 2013 or 14, maybe. And interestingly enough, it's come up in so many of the podcast interviews that I've given lately by the hosts saying, like, when I read that or whatever, that I was like, I need to go back and reread it and apply it. So that's what I've been doing now. And when I read it the first time, I think I actually had the book. And that tells you that I read it like before I had 4 kids, apparently, because there's not a whole lot of actual book reading going on these days because Most of my book reading time is like when I'm doing the dishes or the laundry or carpooling, dropping the kids off places, um, just multitasking type reading. I don't very often just get to sit and listen to a book or sit and read a book. And it's not really my thing anyway. So that's okay. But there's a lot that I'm realizing how to apply better by rereading this book. And I highly recommend it if it basically talks about, I mean, it's called The Body Keeps the Score, brain, mind, and body in the healing of trauma. If you've ever, and everybody, I mean, we've talked about this before. I was about to say, if you've ever been through something traumatic, then this book is for you. So basically, if you're living and breathing and you were born into this world, which is traumatic, then this book is for you. And I say that and I reiterate that and I repeat that because I know that for so long I dismissed my own traumatic events because comparatively they weren't as severe as what I felt like other people's traumatic experiences were. Please do not try to compare your trauma to other people's trauma. Your trauma lives and breathes in your body and affects your life on an everyday basis. Theirs doesn't. Theirs lives and breathes in their body and affects them on a daily basis. So when we go back to one of my favorite quotes from Hamilton, and we talk about, I am the one thing in life I can control, then sure, we can have all the empathy and compassion and everything else that we want to send out, those healing vibes and good thoughts for other people's trauma, but we can't control it and we can't fix it. That has to come from within them. So since you're the only thing that you can control, work on your trauma. And it doesn't matter how big or small you think it is. If your body is keeping the score on it, then you got something to work on. And you have a way to move up the emotional scale and feel better. And who doesn't want to feel better? I mean, even somebody that feels good or great, why wouldn't they want to feel awesome or fantastic if that takes them up the emotional scale? So it's all relative, but work on your own stuff. That's all you can do anyway. So anyway, I've been revisiting that book. I, of course, grabbed Gabby Bernstein's new book, Happy Days, like immediately as soon as it was out on Audible. And I only have a few more minutes of that one left. That one's coming along. That one felt like it was so well timed. And I thought that even before I got to the part of the book where she's talking about reading a book that felt so well timed, which happened to be a book that I had read previously during a time when it felt well timed. See if you followed along with that. And it's one of those, if you know, you know. But interestingly enough, she mentioned a book within it, like a parenting book that I loved. And let me see if I can find what that one was. It was The Whole Brain Child, 12 Revolutionary Strategies to Nurture Your Child's Developing Mind. And I was looking forward to an Audible, but apparently I read it long enough ago that I probably got it like out of the library and listened to it on CD or something like that. But I do remember listening to it, and it was definitely a game changer for me. And it really helped with my parenting and made a big difference. And another one of his books that I really loved was No Drama Discipline. That one was really helpful, especially, and The Power of Showing Up was another one that I really liked. So all of his books, that's Daniel J. Siegel, very good, and helped me in a time when parenting seemed really hard. And when my response to different things that the kids were doing didn't feel in alignment with the love and compassion that I wanted to be showing them. Those things were really helpful to me. And reading Gabby's book right now is also really helpful to me because, you know, I've shared, there's been a lot of really difficult emotional things for me in the past month, in the past year. And although I also often say that coaches need coaches, and, you know, I'm a big proponent of therapy and everything else, sometimes it feels like hey, if I know this stuff, I should be able to do it. If I help other people so well, then why do I feel crappy right now? Why am I struggling with this right now? Why is it challenging right now? And it's all the kind of stuff that like I know that we can't do things alone. I know that we need help. I know that I don't ever think those things about the people that I help. I would never think that about my clients. And most of my clients are also some type of life coach, or they are well versed in some form of therapy or breath work, or some modality that really has the potential to pull them out of whatever it is they're going through, only it's not. So we all sometimes need somebody to either show us how to do something differently, show us how to do something completely different, or just compassionately hold our hand through the situation and hear us and see us and allow us to give voice to whatever is going on. Because there's some work that you just can't do on your own. And even though you can see yourself and you can hear yourself, sometimes what we crave is being heard and seen by another. And that's one of the most beautiful things that therapy can offer. So listening to her and realizing how far she made it with her career and with helping others. And then she, just had some really, really difficult emotional times when, she felt the same way, that like her spirituality or her known guru-ness or whatever should have been able to pull her through. But, her postpartum depression was strong and a lot of other things had kind of piled up on her. And, I feel you, Gabby. I feel you. It happens to the best of us. And I think it also happens to most of us. I always say that the best coaches, the best therapists haven't had a perfect life. They've got their own crap going on, or they've had it going on. I mean, I guess some people have come through and they're all good and they never have a problem again. Doubt it. But we learn how to cope and manage in different ways, in braver ways, in more accountable ways, in just more of a take charge fashion. And we begin to develop self-love and we learn how to forgive ourselves and others. We learn so much and so many new ways of doing things. That is what the growth and the transformation is all about. So it is not just for our clients, it is for us as well. We all need a little help from time to time. So reading her book has been a lovely reminder that it's okay for me to be human and it's okay for me to have a tough time. And that is just it's all friggin' part of it, right? And it's okay. Another book that I'm really enjoying right now, and I think I mentioned this on another podcast, is Brene Brown's newest, Atlas of the Heart. Highly recommend that one if you haven't checked that one at all out yet. Brene's amazing. I mean, she's brilliant and she's so good with words and getting you to comprehend things in a different way. And I think that's part of what I really like, because I'm often listening to her stuff and it makes total sense. And it almost seems, gosh, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for here. Brene would know. She would know. But she just puts it in a way that it's like, yeah, I knew that, but I didn't know it like that. And knowing it like that is what makes me really get it. So I hope that makes sense. Didn't have the eloquence of Ms. Brown there, but that's how Theresa puts it. So I love all the things that she points out. I love her vulnerability. Of course, she's like the vulnerability queen. So if she wasn't good at showing us her vulnerability, there might be a problem there. But yeah, I just the people that she quotes and talks about and brings into her research and conversation, and all the talk about uncomfortable and difficult situations. And I love how somewhere in chapter 6, she talks about how boredom is your imagination calling to you. And I can't tell you, I've reiterated that to my kids several times. I'm bored. Like, it's your imagination calling. Answer the call. Go for it. I have a really hard time with boredom because I can't tell you the last time I was bored. I either have had too much to do to be bored or too many creative thoughts to even allow boredom to creep in. It's just, it does not exist for me. There's always a creative thought I could be following, something I could be daydreaming about. I can take a nap. I can enjoy some hypnosis. I'll take a new program. I'll refresh some skill. Like I said, I'm rereading books to like refresh things that I know are kind of under the surface for me that I want to bring back up because I know they're really helpful and I can use them for myself and I can use them for others. Never bored over here, guys. Not me. So I love that. And I already talked about in another episode her how she had brought up the whole thing about resentments about time alone with kids and expectations and things. That was definitely, based on some things I read in the book here. So yeah, I love that. I still have, how much do I have of that one left? Oh, I still have about 4 hours left of that one, a good bit. So I'm sure there's a lot more aha moments left to wow me there. And then I have been really enjoying Joe Dispenza's meditations for breaking the habit of being yourself. Now, there's a few hours worth of meditations on there. You don't have to do them all at once. Um, I often tend to use them in conjunction with afternoon nap time or even overnight sleep. So I probably improperly use a lot of meditations, but I also think there's a lot of value in what you're hearing, even when you're not fully conscious, because the subconscious is picking up on it, whether I'm sleeping or not. It's the same reason I will not sleep with the news on. I don't have TVs in my kids' rooms. We have one in ours, but we don't ever sleep with it on. My husband would love to, but that's not my jam. And I do think it's really important what you hear when you sleep. Most of the time when I'm asleep, I am listening to some kind of hypnosis or law of attraction affirmations or subliminal something or another, or some kind of a frequency to raise my vibe to a certain place or to put my mind into a certain state for dreaming. I love lucid dreaming tracks, things like that. All this stuff is like free on YouTube, guys. And if you ever need any suggestions, reach out. I'm happy to share some of my favorites. It's taken me a little while to know like what I love and what I'm like, oh, I don't need to hear that, you know. And there's a lot of good stuff out there. So I've really been enjoying those meditations from Joe Dispenza. And then I have been revisiting, this is probably my favorite revisit, the old Ask and It Is Given series from Esther and Jerry Hicks and the teachings of Abraham. And if you're not familiar and have no idea what I'm talking about, just go grab, let me see what the first one is here. I reread the first one the other day. Oh, there's our phone ringing. Let me see. The first one is Ask and It's Given, part 1, Esther and Jerry Hicks, the teachings of Abraham, the law of attraction. So that one I definitely recommend. But just all the things, like, I don't know if you guys are aware or not, I'm a certified law of attraction coach. And like, I know these things and I coach with them and I do my best to live them. You need reminders on this stuff. Like, I feel like law of attraction stuff, you kind of have to be like putting it into your system all the time in order to raise your consciousness about it and help to be moving towards the things that you're looking to magnetize and attract and bring into your life. And there's just so much goodness in these books, just the whole understanding of how to be happy with what you have, eager for more, and just the realization too that you can relax and that you are eternal and that you don't have to do it all right now or even in this lifetime. And the art of allowing is a huge thing to understand and to revisit if you are already familiar, but maybe haven't thought about it in a while. I find that some of my favorite self-development, personal development books, they mean different things depending on when I have reread them in my life. Maybe a Wayne Dyer book that I originally read when I was a teenager, it takes on a whole new, feeling, all these different new ways of looking at the teachings based on the life experiences that I've had between when I read it last and the present time. And there's a lot of value in that, And for me, with ADHD, high functioning anxiety, and really high expectations that I set for myself, rereading feels a lot more relaxing. When I'm reading something for the first time, I am very big on I'm like looking at my clips. This is clips and bookmarks that I have for that first law of attraction book that I'm looking at right now, because I want to remember what spoke to me. But that's not actually very many, but this is only a few hour book. A lot of times I have I can just scroll the things that I take notes on or bookmarks to come back to later. When I read something for a second time, I'm more relaxed. I don't even worry about bookmarking, clipping, totally taking it in, because I'm like, okay, cool. I already know this. And now I'm just kind of refreshing it. It's a totally different vibe and I like it. So while my immediate preference is to always go to something new, I'm not one that loves to watch the same movies over and over again. I don't really love reading the same books again, but I do like the relaxed state that I can get into, because that relaxed state is oftentimes what really lets things in. And, you have that lowered resistance. We talk about that all the time with EFT. It's also huge with law of attraction. When you have any resistance to that thing which you are trying to attract, you cannot manifest it. And a lot of times when you're listening with the intent to learn it all, know it all, find all the aha moments, you really can't receive them. So it's just a different thing. I recommend it. If you've read something that you love and you haven't read it in a while, revisit it totally casually. Don't worry about pausing it if the kids walk into the kitchen while you're listening to it, or don't worry about rewinding it if you totally zoned out while you were listening to it. Or if the phone rings and you have a 5-minute conversation and you come back, don't worry about going back those 5 minutes. Just let it play. It's more like the experience for me of listening to a podcast versus listening to a book. I mean, unless a podcast is really meaty and juicy, it's in the background, just casually listening, hanging out with the host, which I hope you're doing when you listen to my podcasts. And I hope that resonates with you. But yeah, just one good thought attracts another. And that always is going to bring you closer to what you want to do. And I'll close on this. I had forgotten about how much fun the prosperity game is. If you're not familiar with the prosperity game, Esther and Jerry Hicks talk about this. I think it's in the second book, but I used to do this and I actually just set it back up for myself again. So maybe I'll talk about it in the coming weeks. And I started just day one today. So today's day one. And I use the same software that I use to track my real life accounts. And I just added an account in there. My new account is the BHAG's Bank of Prosperity. So big, hairy, audacious goals, Bank of Prosperity. It's a made up bank, but every day I'm going to get a different deposit made into that account. And every day I'm going to have the task of spending it. And the fun part is that you get more money every single day. And so the whole point of the game is that you're going to expand on your ability to receive and spend so that you can direct it with intention and attention. And it really lowers your resistance to spending, because sometimes people can be really adverse to allowing their money to leave them and feeling like more is coming. But with this game, you don't have that stress and tension because you know that more is coming every day. So on day one, you imagine receiving $1,000. And the advice is to make this as real and not pretend as humanly possible. So that's why I did it in the same software that I do my regular accounting in. And so I went in and I, create the deposit, and then I see that there's $1,000 balance. And then I decide how I want to spend it. And I can spend it all at once. I can spend it on 1,000 different things, whatever, but I have to spend it. Same day I get it. And then the next day, I don't just get $1,000, I get $2,000. Okay. And the day after that, 3,000. And each of those days I have to spend it. So you actually really have to use your imagination and think about where you would want to direct that and the kind of energy that you'd want to bring in with it, what it would be doing, all of that kind of stuff. And you can do it however you would normally track your money, I would say. You could just do a notebook or something if you wanted to. But personally, I think that takes the fun out of it. I think it takes the realism out of it. And I think it makes it a little less effective. But, as you play the game, Abraham, the conglomerate of people that make up Abraham, suggests that it begins to help us reach and stretch for new ideas. And it also helps us create a new vibrational set point from which to attract, which is really, really important. And if you don't know anything about vibrational set point, it's just another reason to read those books or to work with a law of attraction coach like myself, because it makes a huge difference in the way and what you manifest. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I'm going to get started, doing that. You don't have to do the $1,000. If you want, you can start with $100 and then $200 or whatever. But $1,000 is the typical for playing this game, and I think it's a good amount. And it allows you to start off a little smaller. I mean, I don't think I'm going to have any problem spending any of the money that comes in for the first month. I'll tell you that much. But as it gets a little bit bigger, it might be a little bit more of a stretch of the imagination to think about where I'm going to be spending it. Because over the course of the year, and I think I might have just said this wrong when I said it at the beginning. I don't remember. It's 1,000 more each day. I can't remember if I started saying double it or not. So if I said that incorrectly, you're adding 1,000 more each day. So day 1, 1,000, day 2, 2,000, day 3, 3,000, day 4, 4,000, and so on and so forth. So like on day 50, it's 50,000. On day 100, it's 100,000. On day 325, it's 325,000. But the point is, but at the end of the year, because you've deposited and withdrawn and deposited and withdrawn, you've spent like over $66 million in a year. So trying to wrap your head around that much spending it really is going to change a vibrational set point that for a lot of people has been really stuck. And it's also going to help with money blocks. Okay. And we've all got those. Like, I haven't come across anybody yet that does not have money blocks. So if you don't know if you have it, it's going to point it out to you. And if you're somebody that's already in the know that you've got it, it's going to help you, even just to feel the energy around money and how it feels to talk about and think about money on a daily basis. And different sensations and feelings and energies are going to come up around that as you do it. You might be really, really surprised at what you discover as you go. So lean into the feelings that are coming up as you play the game, if you choose to do it. And if you do, I'd love to hear some of the things that you're choosing to spend your prosperity game cash on. It's fun. And it really gets the creative juices flowing, so to speak. And it's fun to do it with somebody too. So if you have a spouse that's game for playing it with you, then play it together and allow it to help you to clear away your money stories and to accept what's going on in your life now, make peace with whatever's currently happening in your own money situation, and just have some fun with it. It can't hurt. It can only help. Yes, it's a game. Yes, it's pretend. But if you understand the law of attraction or manifestation at all, everything starts with a thought. Everything starts with an idea. And it's all about getting your vibrations in alignment with that which you want to attract to you. So don't discount playing a game like this as a waste of time, or that's not real money and I can't make it happen that way. And I'm never going to get $66 million to spend in a year. So why should I do it? Don't be a curmudgeon. Okay. If you are, I don't know why you're listening to this anyway, because I'm all about helping people feel better and be more positive. So curmudgeons be gone, but try it, see what it does to help you open your mind and move up the emotional scale. So all right. That's what I've been reading lately. That's what I've been enjoying. I would love to hear what you've been reading and enjoying, or rereading and learning new things from that you didn't experience previously. Have an awesome day, and thank you for listening. Take care.
Thanks so much for listening. If you loved this episode, please share it with a friend or post on social media and tag me so I can personally connect and thank you. Until next time, keep taking bold and brave action steps towards becoming more of who you want to be in this world. You are capable, you are worthy, and you are enough. Keep shining your light.